Hi everyone, welcome back to the neighborhood. It's your friendly neighborhood reviewer with InToIt Reviews. Today, we're looking at a budget option with the TinHiFi T1 Plus. This IEM comes in at $25, but does it perform better than its price? Let's get into it. So let's talk about the TinHiFi T1 Plus. The build here has its ups and downs. The shell is made expressly out of plastic and it fits most comfortably within my ear. Size-wise, the shell is barely bigger than an SSR and it weighs almost nothing. The angle of the nozzle is fine and the shell itself is not very thick from the faceplate to the nozzle. So for the most part, this is a tiny, lightweight earphone. I was sent the green variety by Dave, the honest audiophile, and if I were picking amongst the available colorways, I think I would pick the green as well. But it is also available in white, pink, and black. In each case, the faceplate is opaque and the shell body is see-through. The connection at the earphone is a C-pin QDC style connector, and the cable provided with this earphone terminates in a straight 3.5mm TRS connection. The cable itself is very nice for the price. It appears to be a twisted, 4-core, silver-plated copper cable which plays well and has a clear, small bead for a chin slider, which functioned appropriately as well. Other manufacturers of cheaper IEMs could learn something here from TinHiFi, as this is probably the nicest cable to come with an IEM in this price range. The driver unit is a single beryllium-coated diaphragm, which is also somewhat of a rarity in this price range. But more things are coming out with beryllium involved these days too. Other earphones near this price, which incorporate beryllium as well, include the Moondrop SSR and SSP, and the Jade Audio EA1. But each of these sets is also at least $5 to $15 more expensive in comparison to the T1 Plus. But while I really like the SSR and the EA1, I'm sorry to say that the TinHiFi T1 Plus didn't really measure up in terms of its performance. Granted, it is a few bucks cheaper than both of those earphones. With the T1 Plus, what you get is a fun sound signature, and these aren't really that resolving, especially in comparison to sets like the EA1 and the SSR. But if your price has to be $25 and below, then these aren't terrible either. For example, I would recommend the T1 Plus over something like a Blonde BL01, which I also just reviewed. I mean, at least these have treble and produce a more articulate picture across the entire frequency response range. Having said that, these are fairly V-shaped, with most of their energy coming from 2 to 5K, but I wouldn't say that the T1 Plus is aggressive either. Instead, I found the listen of the T1 Plus to be mostly average and safe within its tuning. The overall presentation here did vary with each tip selection, however, and there were notable differences between the two tips that came in the box. The T1 Plus comes with 2 sets of clear silicone ear tips, a wide bore and a narrow bore set. In general, I preferred the latter, but the wide bore set did produce a wider soundscape and was more even in its presentation. Ultimately, I felt that the wide bore tips lacked dynamics and some bass. The narrow bore set of tips produced a more average soundscape, but offered more detail, definition, and dynamics to the music. But overall, regarding the T1 Plus's presentation, I would say that it's mostly average, neither demonstrating greatness nor exhibiting significant flaws. For example, macrodynamics, transients, decay, imaging, and separation are most assuredly average, and peripheral detailing is only slightly above average. Timbre is warm, fuzzy, and vocals were centered and somewhat distinctive, but not really forward in any true sense. What sticks out to me the most, however, is that its resolution isn't fabulous, and there is significant roll-off at both ends. In summary, I don't hate this set, and I actually somewhat like it. Its presentation is mediocre, but in the best possible way for a set such as this. I simply think it does well for what it is, but it's not something that's going to usurp standouts in the price range either. So I'm not going to recommend that everyone run out and buy a T1 Plus, but due to its insubstantial weight, this could be a good knockaround set, a set that one works out with, or a nice gift for someone that isn't too picky or someone who's new to the hobby. Honestly, the cable is almost worth the price of this set alone, but if I were to buy this earphone, it would be to give it to a kid or take it on a boating trip, where I wouldn't necessarily feel any remorse if it got wet or not. And just to be clear, I'm not suggesting that this set is waterproof either, as there are 2 vent holes on the back side of the shell itself facing one's ears. I'm just suggesting that if they were to be damaged, it wouldn't really be that much of a loss from an emotional or fiscal standpoint. And with that, I'm out for now.